Hello, this is Kate, and I'll be talking today about the impacts of physical education on elementary school-aged children, specifically in the United States. This topic is important because different studies have concluded that obesity rates among children in the United States are increasing, and physical education classes are for the most part compulsory for children in this age group. Children spend most of their waking hours at school, so the availability of regular physical activity in that setting is critical. These three pieces of information are poignant in current studies, denoting the problems and what physical education impacts could be. Looking at possible problems with current programs and finding solutions for them may help reverse obesity trends and lend itself to a healthier country in the future. Physical education programs throughout the United States have been dwindling due to budget restraints, insufficient resources, and educational time and focus that is averted to other subjects. Coupled with a sedentary lifestyle and improper diet, there is a potential to lead children into an unhealthy future and could have lasting effects through different facets of life. It is questionable whether current physical education programs could decrease these physical issues that are on the rise in children. The questions of efficacy of PE programs need to be addressed and understood for the benefit of children now and generations moving forward. Current models of physical education may not be working, and they may need to be altered to reverse the negative models of education that are seen currently. The argument does exist for the reduction and elimination of physical education programs altogether, as they are not fulfilling benchmarks across the country. It brings the question, do physical education programs actually make a difference in the lives of our children? Before I get into it, let's lay some groundwork for what we'll be looking at. These are definitions for physical education versus physical activity. The words are often interchanged, but they do have different meanings in this sense. Physical education has a health and nutrition aspect, usually contains instructional benchmarks for children in order to have tangible, quantifiable data measures to grade teachers and programs with. Also, the ACSM does have guidelines listed for children. Overall, children should be getting at least 7 hours of age-appropriate activities a week for good health. Today we're going to look at 4 different factors that encompass this issue. The factors are identified as the 4 important points of the discussion. We'll first look at what system of physical education is in place currently. We'll then look at the changes that could potentially help the effectiveness of physical education. Next, we'll see if physical education should be standardized as a part of children's education. And finally, we'll look at the best way to increase the benefits of physical activity in children. The first factor that we'll look at is if physical education should be a part of school life. First, does PE or physical activity help with health issues in children? A study by Dr. Terry McCambridge in the journal Pediatrics showed that in hypertensive children that there were positive effects with aerobic exercise. The same study also stated that physical activity is beneficial for a multitude of mental health reasons in kids. Overall, research states that for the most part, physical education and activity did help with health issues and obesity in children. While it's established now that PE does help children, the next question is if the programs are actually necessary in a school setting. Why can't children just exercise outside? It turns out that early intervention with children is important in reducing obesity rates later in life, according to a study in the New England Journal of Medicine. As school is compulsory for children starting around the age of 5, this is the best way to integrate an intervention program and start younger children on a healthy path. It was also found that those who did not participate in PE within school time did not participate in physical activity outside of school time either. Once again, as children are required to go to school, PE programs have the best shot at getting kids to move either in or outside of school. So if PE is so necessary in preventing obesity issues later in life, are the PE programs implemented currently doing justice to children? The study that we previously referenced by Dr. Cambridge also found that in most situations, only roughly an hour of PE was included in classrooms per week, and of that, only 25 minutes of that activity was considered vigorous activity. This is juxtaposed with the ACSM guidelines that we looked at earlier, and is not nearly enough activity for children. True, this does not include recess or other time outside of school, but activity during those times is completely dependent on the child and cannot be considered a guarantee for the rest of the ACSM specified exercise time. Another study looked at the physical education system in Texas and found that though the program was effective in increasing fitness levels of children, that was an unintended benefit as they failed in their original goal of lowering obesity rates and increasing academic understandings of the topics included within physical education. This may indicate that their exercise prescription for their students was inappropriate for their desired goals. Overall, it looks like current programs implemented may not be beneficial for students. This quote from the New England Journal of Medicine sums up this factor clearly. As things are right now, PE is not working. It doesn't mean that it can't, it's just not working currently in protecting kids from obesity and other health-related issues. The next factor we'll look at is if physical education programs need to be changed in order to be more effective with children. Research done by Keith Brazendale in the journal Emotional and Behavioral Disorders in Youth shows that while enjoyment actually doesn't have much significance in whether kids participate in PE inside and outside of school, competency and understanding of the subject does. Several other studies looked at for this topic supported this, as children do not want to risk social status or the embarrassment of potentially failing at a new skill in front of their peers. By diversifying education programs to include all types of activities in order to reach a large audience, there is an increased chance of children finding a skill that they can understand and enjoy, and in turn, they'll be more likely to participate in activities outside of the school setting. So, it's established that PE programs can be great, but they don't always work and don't seem to be having a large impact on pupils. The next factor is if they should be standardized in schools. Different schools do have very different demographics and interests, even within the same neighborhoods. By giving educators the power and resources to do what they see as best for their students, there's a greater chance that positive results could be seen. Also, by involving the community around these programs, this further assists in tailoring and supporting children. This is incredibly important as children do look to their parents, teachers, and other adults as examples of how to live their lives. Each community is going to be different and, again, create and maintain programs that are specific to their school's needs. The last factor that influences physical education is the question of how best to increase physical education and interest levels in children. We just mentioned the major benefit of creating a specific program to the school and group of children involved, but not only do parents and community members need to be involved with the planning and discussion of programs, they need to move too. Studies have found that physical education needs to be something that is all-encompassing within the family, with education and activity combined. Though it's not PE in school, parents need to be involved with their children in exercising outside of school. New and trendy programs can be a major success in helping children stay entertained and eager to try new things. Kids love to see what's on TV or what celebrities are doing. Rock climbing walls have been introduced, another study documented Zumba and yoga programs, and many other creative physical education programs have been implemented to help kids find something new and exciting that interests them as individuals. After mandatory physical education periods end, individuals should have a better understanding about the necessity of physical activity as they age and will hopefully have at least a small dose of different activities available to them as they grow up. As we've seen before, higher competency does translate to a higher level of activity participation both in and outside of school. Alright, so we went through our 4 factors that affect physical education programs and their possible success. Let's recap. First, what is the role of PE in schools? It can help with health and weight issues, which is important in our increasingly obese society. Programs we have currently aren't as impactful as they could be. Second, do these programs need to be altered? Yes, kids want to be involved in something that they feel confident and interested in order to feel good enough to participate. Third, should programs be standardized to ensure that benchmarks can be met? No, programs are best when tailored to their communities, and community assistance is important. Last point, what is the best way to motivate children to move? Family involvement is incredibly important, and keeping a finger on the pulse of trends is a good way to keep children attentive. Now, let's look to see what we can do to rectify the problems. A focus on quality PE rather than counting an amount of minutes or attaining academic benchmarks should be the primary goal of new programs. Unlike most other subjects in school, physical education has the opportunity to have a physical impact and lasting effect on students. By providing quality physical education, children have a better chance at living a healthy life. Also, physical education reform is clearly needed to help children have a better chance at a healthy life. Activity is important, but further lifestyle education should be included in addition to help children have a whole understanding of the concept of fitness and being metabolically healthy. We've all heard it, the concept of quality over quantity. That should apply to PE programs too. Educators should be held accountable for ensuring that skills are appropriately taught, and children need to understand the importance of what they're doing. Programs like Project Spark include other components with their activities. They add didactic material on how health is something that is a normal part of life and should be maintained, and how physical activity and fitness is an important part of maintaining their health. With the current flippant attitude towards physical education, it may be difficult to implement this, but by fostering good habits for physical activity and exercise in children, health and sedentary lifestyle-related issues can be avoided down the road. It's an investment. In Texas, physical education programs were overhauled, and programs that focused more on physical activity and quality movement were implemented. Progress was documented over 4 years, and it was found that schools showed positive results with the mandates that were implemented, showing that positive steps can actually be attained through good quality physical education. However, it was also found that the direction and compliance of the programs weren't followed by all of the schools studied. So, there's evidence that progress can be attained. However, programs need to be adopted and adhered to for positive repercussions. Currently, there seems to be a disconnect with physical education in the classroom. As one study put it, PE seems to have an image problem and hasn't been taken seriously. By involving more people and highlighting the importance of activity, we should see an evolution, though it may be slow, depending on the amount of changes the program goes through. Revamping physical education probably won't solve all of the health problems that our students potentially face today, but the programs we're using now aren't doing the job either. In this particular study, the school amped up physical education programs and even saw positive results within 2 years. Reform may be a tough task, but with the direction our youth population is headed in currently, action needs to be taken to improve health and avoid larger problems in the future. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions.